Whew. Hi Kemi. Hi Zefe. Day Fire. The man with the orange heart. How are you? I can see an Ogene. I'm sorry I can't pronounce the first part. Kids and more. Busy. Welcome. How you guys doing? Hope you're good this Friday night. Thankfully it's not raining yet. Because this rain, it is consistency for me. Back to back. Okay, tonight's going to be very brief. It was not intentional. Hi Petra, good to see you. It was not intentionally planned, but it's been on my mind for a while actually. Coupled with the fact that I've been getting, pardon me, a lot of questions about it. So I just thought to do it. And I know that I've done this before. Hi. I've done this before, but I just thought to do it again. So I'll just wait for a couple of more people to join and I'll start. Okay, so let me pin the topic while we wait. Cohabiting and long distance. I'm going to say cohabiting and long distance. I don't mean like both of them together, but I'm talking about both of them. Distance relationships. All right. There we go. Mrs. Sparkles, welcome. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Welcome. Welcome. Kewe, my international class rep. Welcome. You guys, I need to tell you guys about one of my best kept secrets very soon. Good to see you, Kewe. Okay, so we're talking about cohabiting and long distance relationships. I'm going to take questions and I'm just going to give like the broad strokes. Like I said, it's not an intentional, it's like, no comments. Thank you. It's not an intentional lie, but because I've been getting many questions and it's something recurring in culture and in my DMs, I just thought to talk about it. And I want to talk about long distance first. I had a video about this on this, which just went bad and I couldn't upload it. So for people who have asked, I'm doing this again. All right, so what are some broad strokes for long distance relationships? Michael Osasu, good to see you. Welcome. What are some of my broad strokes, rule of thumbs, fundamentals for long distance relationships in no particular order? If you're in a long distance relationship, and long distance relationship is anything that is not in the same city, right? So whether somebody's in Abuja and another person is in Lagos, or someone is in Australia and another person is in Nigeria, right? Long distance is anything that has timeline difference. We are not in the same time zone. When I'm sleeping, you're working. When I'm working, you are sleeping, right? The long distance is affecting you. Is that what you mean, Elizabeth? Hi, Adebola. How you doing? Welcome. So that's long distance, right? And okay, so rule of thumb, if you're in a long distance relationship of any sort, number one for me is I prefer that the relationship starts, has a foundation before the long distance happens, right? So at least you guys have been in the same space for 6 months to 1 year before the long distance happens, before somebody travels for a master's or a PhD, before someone gets a job, takes a job offer in another town or another city or another country, before someone says, oh, I want to go and prepare the grounds for us so that when we get married, you have a soft landing. Whatever the situation or the reason for moving is, preferably you should have had at least 6 months to 1 year with this person where you are seeing multiple times in the week, where you're going to the movies together, you're seeing family members, you're going for family functions, you're buying gifts, exchanging gifts, going to church together, praying together, seeing the person in a myriad of situations with a myriad of people, seeing the person in different seasons. A very simple way I always like to explain it is how I wrote it in my book. In 1 year, not in Nigeria, in the Western world, you have 4 seasons in 1 year: winter, summer, spring, fall, and different things happen in those seasons, and that can be equated to a person's life. A person goes through different seasons, and usually it takes about 1 year, sometimes more. And this is not fixed. I'm saying this is like barest minimum, like basics. You need to see that person in 1 year in close proximity. You know how, sorry to give this example, I remember my husband saying, long time when we're still dating, courting, he says, some people, they look fine from afar, but when they come closer, you see that they are far from fine. Yeah, so they look fine from far, but they are far from fine when they come closer, that kind of thing. So when people are distant, you can't really feel their emotions. You can't really know if they're really laughing. That they typed LOL does not mean they're laughing. You can't really see that they're reading their Bible that they told you they're reading. You can't really feel their pulse. You can't really read their body language. And you know, especially early in relationships, everybody is putting their best foot forward. It's just like when you get a new job, especially if you've been looking for a job for like 6 months, a year, or maybe even more, and you get a job. Hi, Juliet. Good evening. My MC, my friend's husband. Hi, Oma. Welcome. And you get a job. First day, they say resumption is 8:30. 7:45, 7:30, 7 o'clock. Say if you are there, you've bought coffee for everybody. You've worn your suit. They say it's dressed down, but you've worn your suit. You've worn tie. You know, you have done your to-dos. You have anticipated the needs of your boss. The thing is sweeting you, right? And then 3 weeks, you're tired. Lagos traffic has dealt with you. 3 weeks, you have joined office gossip. This admin always feeling mightier than everybody else. This HOD always doing this. You are now getting sloppy. So usually the first few weeks and months, everybody's putting their best foot forward. And eventually, as you go in the relationship, especially if you are poking, especially if you are poking at the right questions, asking the right questions, like Pastor Kingsley would call them, the right checkpoints, right? You know how it is that you're going through immigration, and maybe not in Nigeria, at different points, they are checking for different things. Sometimes they're even checking for the same things, but it's different sets of people, maybe a different machine. Maybe they are checking twice. They are checking more thoroughly. But you go through different checkpoints before you finally board that plane, because they don't want a terrorist on that plane. They don't want a fugitive on that plane. So they are going to scan your passport. They are going to check you are going to remove your socks. You are going to remove your wristwatch. You are going to remove, if you have pin in your bag, as in knitting pin, it's not following you. If you have liquid, it's not following you. They will check you. So it's not just that you bought a ticket, you're able to afford a ticket and you got the visa. That's just part one. That you bought this plane and land in final destination. Because you know that there's some people that bought a plane, but they don't alight. They don't get out of the plane. It's in that plane that they will still bring you back. They will deport you. Do you get what I'm saying? So you need that foundation. It is so critical. Number 2 is that if you're now in the long distance relationship, timelines are critical. Timelines are so critical. You can't say you're going for masters. Okay, how long is your masters? 1 year. Faye, was that an accidental request, or do you want to share something? Faye, let me know. I saw your request. What's the timeline? Your master's is 1 year. Okay. So after your master's, what is happening? Do you want to find a job? Are you coming back home? Are we doing an introduction while your master's is going on? Are we doing premarital counseling while your master's is going on? What are the timelines? Because I'm not just going to wait for you to see how it goes. Like I always say, seeing how it goes is not a strategy. Hoping for the best is not a strategy. right? So what is happening? What is happening? Timelines are very important. And these timelines, dear, should not just be known to you and Boo or you and Bay. Hey, Pastor will know timeline. My parents will know timeline. Your parents will know timeline, so that all of us, we are inside this thing together. Not the one that you will promise me heaven and earth. Meanwhile, your parents are like, he has not said anything, no. Then all your siblings are getting married. Then you can't say, oh, I can't talk about getting married now because my parents have finished spending money on top of my siblings. So we need to give them breathing space. Dear, you want to give them breathing space, but you're choking me with 5 years engagement, 5 years courtship. Do you understand? You're very welcome, guys. You're welcome. So let everybody be aware. Not the one that you'll be doing secret planning with me. And me, I'm thinking we are making headway, but we are actually at a headlock, right? So timelines, not just between both of us, but everybody, all the important parties. That's number 2. Number 3, in this time that we will not be in the same space, how often are we going to be in the same space? If you are going for 2 years, does this mean we will not stay physically for 2 years? I know in some circumstances that's the case. There's, as in, it can't just happen, but the plan is to try to make it happen as much as possible. See, like I always say, even us that we were in the same space cutting, we know the grass goes that we faced. But this physical distance is what it is distance. So there's a difference between me seeing my boyfriend and I don't know how to explain it. There's a difference between me seeing my boyfriend and holding his hand, and we're just taking a walk down the street, and me Skyping with my boyfriend. Do people still use Skype safe? That connection, that's when I say skin to skin, you should not think about buttons. That connection is not the same thing as a digital screen. It's just the same way reading a book, a physical book, is very different from reading a book online. A notification comes in and you swiped out of your book and you are distracted. So they're different things. If my boyfriend is physically with me and he says something rude or he makes a side remark, I can look at him and read his body language and say, where is this coming from? We can address it there and then. But if I'm over Skype and somebody makes a quick half-second nasty remark or has a nasty look, and what was that about? Oh, it was nothing. Or no, nothing happened. There was a glitch. Maybe it was network. Maybe my face was pixelated because of network. I'm losing sound or something. It's not the same. So you need that time connection, right? Pastor K will say that long distance is what's it called? Is relationship on steroids. You need to do a lot more for it to work out better. So your communication has to be top notch. You will buy airtime. You will buy airtime. You will call. You will talk. You will chat. You will emoji. You will Zoom. You will video call. You will FaceTime. Whatever it is, as much as possible. And what I also like to say very often is in that long distance communication, you have to overcompensate. You have to over-communicate. So when your boyfriend or your girlfriend are in the same space, you're hanging out with their friends, you're hanging out with their family, you kind of know who is who. But sometimes when you are apart, a lot can happen in 2 days. My husband and I were here together, and there are sometimes he comes in and says, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to tell you this. And we're in the same space. So when you're apart, because a lot can happen in this adulting life, you have to overcompensate. You don't want a situation whereby, for example, you live in the UK and your girlfriend knows simple and basic things like you always take the bus too at 7 a.m. in the morning to work. And then suddenly she's like, it's 7:15, you're still at home. What's happening? I know, we actually changed roles yesterday. And this person is not in my role, I'm not in this person's role. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Or when did that happen? And it sounds very little. It sounds very little. It sounds like a sincere miss. But when you have pockets of that here and there and here and there, it now becomes, what else are you not telling me? Why are you forgetting to tell me these little things that are amounting to something? Is it that I'm not that important? Who are you talking to if you're not talking to me? And you know, because there's distance, you can't, things blow out of proportion when there's distance. You begin to hallucinate, you begin to make up stories in your mind, you begin to think that things are more than what they are. So as much as possible, you need to over communicate. Oh, I'm taking a new bus. Oh, I changed my roles. Oh, I met a new friend today. You normally get home by 9, maybe by 9 o'clock. Usually you guys are on video call. 9 o'clock, no call from you. And then you call and like, oh babe, I can't talk right now. Your babe calls or your boyfriend calls and is noisy in the background, like, where are you? You're usually at home at 9 o'clock. Why is this place noisy? And like, oh, as I was planning to leave, people are like, oh, it's so-so-so's birthday. People are going to this place. People are going to this bar. People are going to this hangout spot. Why don't you come? Must you go home? It's the weekend. And I just decided to go last minute. I was like, okay, you could have told me that. So those little things matter. You need to overcompensate. Excuses like, oh, I forgot. Excuses like I was going to tell you. Excuses like, it was just for 30 minutes. All those kind of excuses will not hold up over time in a long distance relationship, right? So those are 3 very critical points for long distance relationships. What else can I add? Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Show, welcome. It's good to see you. So let me do a quick recap. So number 1 is it's preferable that you have time on ground before long distance happens. And let me tell you why this is important. Maybe I should make this number 4. When you do long distance and you're chatting, or you're doing video calls, and all of that, and the bulk of your relationship has been long distance, and you're planning a marriage, and you get together and you marry, you are most likely getting married to a stranger. You've been talking, you guys have not even been fighting. Communication has been going well. You guys seem at par. Everything is okay. Everything seems to be checking out. You can still be marrying a total stranger, because by the time you guys begin to live in the same space, you know how they say in your side mirror, on your side mirror in your car, that objects appear bigger when they're closer. That's what's going to happen. Things are going to be magnified. You see little things like that eating pattern, like, from the little things to the big things, that this person smacks their lips, which is my greatest pet peeve in life, by the way. Great to have you here. They smack their lips, they eat, and all their food in their mouth is showing, and then they have spittle at the edges of their mouth when they eat, and they don't mind doing that in public. They are the kind of people that will go out, they will have a drink and finish the drink, put water in the cup, rinse it, drink it, do this and swallow in public. Hi Frances, it's so good to see you. From little things like that to major things like when they're together, they don't feel like you need to see family. They're the kind of people that, oh, for 1 year after we marry, we are doing honeymoon, we don't need to see anybody. But maybe when the person was abroad, it didn't matter to you because they didn't have any family there. So it never crossed your mind. The person didn't have any family to visit, and maybe the person made occasional comments like, oh, I miss my family back home. That someone said they miss their family back home don't mean that they want to be seen. It's ring light, oh my dear, it's ring light. I'm fine, but it's not this fine, it's ring light. But thank you for that. Right? So the fact that they say they miss their family, it doesn't mean that they want to be in their family's face. So it can be a totally different, the person might have so many mood swings when they are together. But because when they're speaking to you, it's timed. They're speaking to you at certain times of the day when they have the energy, right? Or maybe when there's distance, you feel, oh, they're having mood swings because they've had a long day at work, or it's cold where they live, they're alone. You make excuses for them in your mind, or maybe in your heart as a lover boy or lover girl. But when they come, you start seeing things. You start seeing how they're living in Nigeria, and they realize that everybody in Nigeria is mad, not like the country they're coming from. And then they're reacting and they're like, I can't do this. I have to go back. And you're like, go back to where? We planned to settle in Nigeria. So there's so many things that you can't have hands-on knowledge on in distance. So I do not advise that if your relationship has been largely distance, you now marry straight from the distance. All right. So that those are my 4 main points on long distance relationships. And I think while they can work, there are certain things that will make them work. And once those things are out of place, then the marriage will probably be out of place. Not irredeemable, but there will be a lot of tough things that will just make life harder than, normal relationship, normal marriage that is good safe. We have a lot of work to do. Talk less of the one that is skinny. All right, so I said this was supposed to be brief. I only have 5 more minutes, so let me quickly go into cohabiting. I just wanted to highlight things. It's not in depth, but I just wanted to highlight some things. Cohabiting. So different people have different reasons for cohabiting, whether it's from the angle of the economics of it. So house in Nigeria and the abroad, house is expensive. So let's come together and join forces together. We're going to get married anyway, including the ones that are not planning to get married. They cohabit. There's the I've stayed so late. Oh my God, look at the time. It's now 11 o'clock. Like you did not know that time used to pass. And like, okay, let's just spend the night. And before you know it, you drop 1 pant, you drop 1 boxer, you collect spare key, you drop toothpaste, you drop toothbrush, you've collected 7 shirts here. Yeah. And one thing leads to the other. But the part of the cohabiting that I still don't get, and maybe you guys can help me here, is that some people intentionally cohabit because they want to see what it is like to be married to this person. They want to know the person. They want to see what they are getting married to. They want to test the goods, if you will. And I think that's my greatest issue with it. And that's probably the only point I'm going to emphasize here, because I've done a live on cohabiting, which should be in, I don't know if it was this Instagram handle or the old Instagram, but it's on YouTube anyway. So you can go to that for more details. So it's the intentionally going to it to see what is in it for me that I don't get. Because 2 things, a very large pillar of marriage is commitment. And so you going in to see is already telling me that your commitment can be fickle. It's already telling me that if you ever see something that is not as perfect as should be, no, sir. Peter, I don't want to say what I want to say in public. And you know what I want to say. But I honor you, so I will not say it. So don't waste your life and your time. It is not and can never be the same. Oh, yeah. You cannot unintentionally go into it. And I think maybe that's another thing to address. Some people give themselves excuses. When you want to sin, when you want to do something that is wrong, you give yourself excuse. You say, oh, but they were just being nice. My job is on the island and I live on the mainland. And so they offered their space to me. We don't stay in the same room. We just stay in the same house. Peter, please. Peter, please. Peter, if you want to redeem yourself, you know what to do. But don't let me. I honor you. Right? We don't stay in the same room. We ensure that nothing happens. It's not like that devil used to do. Devil saw Eve. Don't see him since. Not be the first day God tell him, say no, eat the fruit. Now the devil appear. No, the devil gave her time. So don't worry, enjoy yourself. Be eating fruits, be planting zobo, be calling elephants, be calling lion, be feeling chilled. Don't catch malaria from mosquito. Just enjoy yourself, don't worry. But the devil knew that he would wait for an opportune time. So those moments always come. So don't deceive yourself. So it's either you are leading somebody on, or you are waiting for sin to catch you, or you are looking for sin to catch. One of them. Eventually, something will happen. And sometimes it has nothing to even do with attraction. You're not even attracted to the person. The person might not even be attracted to you. It might just be rainy season. It might just be body is feeling cold or hot that day, as the case may be. It might just be your boyfriend has annoyed you, and so you just want to make them jealous, and then you commit yourself to stupidity. And what happens is that you wake up tomorrow and you're like, what did I just do? Right? So no, you cannot unintentionally go into it. Right? So those that now, so if you're going into it to check, I'm doubting your level of commitment. When you do get married and unexpected things happen, what are you going to do? Are you going to bail? And of course, that brings in the angle of faith. As believers, the Bible says without faith, it is impossible to please God. It's not that you are believing God for a car. You are believing God for visa. You are believing God for admission. It's not just on that level of without faith, it is impossible to please God. The Bible says that we live by faith. That is, as you are living, breathing, walking, dressing, as in your life, you live it by faith. In other words, as a believer, if you are not doing anything in faith, you are dead. You are living corpse, if there's anything like that. You are a corpse, you are dead. And so your life doesn't bring a sweet smelling savor unto God. It's like what Elijah calls death in a pot. Right? So this married thing we're even doing is by faith. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that someone is a cheat and you go in by faith that God will change it or something good will happen. Or someone is AS and you really don't want to get married to someone with AS because you don't think you can handle the issues, and you say, you don't just enter a hook, line, and sinker. I mean, there are people who still go ahead for valid reasons, but ideally we would say that if both of you are AS or SS, it's a no-no. But your life, including this marriage thing, is by faith. It's by faith. It's by the Spirit, and that's a whole teaching for another day. Right? Or he's an abuser. So the cohabiting thing, it doesn't really solve the problems that you are trying to solve. Okay, so if you're not getting into the marriage and you find out that he does not flush toilets, okay. You get into marriage and realize that must we marry by faith? Can one be single and be at peace? Marriage is not by force. The Bible already tells us in Matthew 19 that some people are monks or single or eunuchs by from birth, by choice, because of kingdom assignment. Or the Bible in Message translation says some people were never asked to be married. And some people were asked to be married and they never accepted. Right? There's nothing wrong with it. But like I always say, hi, Umar. Good to see you. I know I called you Umar. It's intentional. Good to see you. But what I always say is question your motive. Why don't you want to get married? If your reason for not wanting to get married is selfish, in that, I'm not seeing good marriages around, or the wahala is too much. I know Peter is not serious, but I'm answering the question anyway. Or because a self thing. If the answer to the why you don't want to get married starts and ends with you, then it's a selfish reason and most likely a bad reason not to get married. Ministry. So the question now becomes, how will marriage stop your ministry? Because I see a lot of us married and in ministry, and if anything, the marriage is aiding the ministry. I don't think my life would be as blossomy as it is without my husband in it. It will blossom for sure, but it's blossoming more because he's in it. Again, I know Peter is being naughty. Peter, I hope you've done what you're supposed to do, Sha. So as I off this live in the next 2 minutes, I will see something. Yeah, as serious as I had to say. Anyway, my answer is very serious as well. So I don't know what if you guys have any thoughts on cohabiting. I mean, let's not get into the obvious issues of so many people have cohabited. As in, it happens all the time. So many people have cohabited, they've slept together, they've done everything. And then the man now says that they are not doing again. He says he's not doing again. Then you now start feeling bad. You start feeling used. You start saying all men are scum. But you laid yourself at the altar. You sacrificed yourself. Right? And you guys, I mean, we say these things all the time, especially for women. And I don't know, that's just the way it works. Don't ask me why or how. That's just the way it is. Is it right? No. But that's what it is now. As in, most women will feel the shame more than the man will feel it. If a man sleeps with you and you get pregnant and he says he's not doing, nobody can hold him, nobody can choke it, because he did not promise you anything. He didn't give you a ring, he didn't pay your bride price, he didn't see your parents. You snuck out of your parents' house as a matter of fact and went and loaned. You went and got pregnant. He's going to move on. So don't do that to yourself. And if you're a serious believer, you start living with the guilt, the shame. You start dealing with church telling you need to come for counseling, you need to do this, you need to do that. Then out of the shame and guilt, you now stop coming to church because you feel people are looking at you. We're not really looking at you. We are looking out for you. But because you feel 100 eyes on you. And even if we're just looking at you to say, oh, your hair is looking nice, you feel like we are looking at your stomach. No. So I think everything that cohabiting tries to achieve, it actually does the exact opposite. If you think it's trying to bring you closer, it might be doing the exact opposite in terms of the fact that it might make you unnecessarily familiar with me. Not with me, oh, I don't cohabit with you. Unnecessarily familiar with each other. And familiarity, they say, breeds contempt. And so one day somebody will just insult you, just throw a shut up, just throw a come on, get out, just throw a my friend, will you? I'm like, when did all that one start? So for me, cohabiting is a no-no. And if you're believers and you are saying nothing will happen, I'm like, how? Is it that you are not attracted to each other? Or is it that you will not watch film? I know there's no film nowadays that they will not kiss, that they will not, it's very rare. And when those things happen, so what? So for me, cohabiting is a no-no. There's a question here. If there are any questions, I'm going to take them now. So it is not advisable to start a long-distance relationship if you haven't met the person physically. Do you put it off until the meeting happens? I would advise so, except the person is, I don't advise it. So you guys can be cool, you guys can be talking, can be close, but don't start anything official until you guys have met. I don't advise it, doesn't mean that it's not workable. If the person is going to come back shortly, or going to come back after a while, fine, maybe you can start the relationship, but continue the relationship when the person is on ground. Don't plan a wedding when immediately the person comes on ground. Still give it time to get to know the person, another 6 months, 1 year, even though the relationship has started as distance, and see how it's really going. Then we can start talking about the marriage. Now, if the person comes and you see that, what is on ground is different from what was abroad, then you can now break up the relationship at that point. All right, any questions? Because I'm good to go now. I said brief. We've done about 35 minutes now, or 30 minutes. Save the pleasantries. Any questions? Okay, you can type in the comments or use the question box thing. I'll just wait for 1 minute. And if I don't see any question, then I will just go. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Pizza. You're welcome. You're welcome. Once I order versus what I got. You are welcome, Desiree. I like your name, by the way. You're welcome, Julie. All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you some other time. Hey, before you even go, please, Kings is turning 5. If you don't know Kings, that means you don't really know me. We're turning 5. My home church is turning 5. And I would really, 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 really love as many of you as possible who can come. I was supposed to have some people join me on a live tonight, but they could not. I'm hoping at some other point they will. Is ring light? People, there's ring lights in front of me. The glow is popping, but the extra glow is ring light. So please, if you really can, on the 2nd of October, at Anthony's one service. If you look into my timeline, my stories, you'll see the details. I would really, really, really love for you guys to come and celebrate with us. I'm begging you, I'm appealing to you, and it would be nice to meet you guys in person. Yeah, you'll be hearing more about this in the course of the week. All right, guys, thank you so much. Waiting for the invite. Peter. How many times did I call you? Peter. Okay. Let's meet where we are supposed to meet. All right, guys. Bye. Is that the pregnancy we are celebrating? Good night and God bless you. All right, guys. Bye. 3 is also the number that Peter denied Jesus. So without my 3, maybe I'm denying you now if you don't make things right. All right. Oh, hi, Faye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye. I'm going to save the live so you can watch again.